Let's be real for a moment. The most complicated part of attraction isn't rejection, it's uncertainty. It's that confusing space where a woman feels something for you but never clearly says it. It's when her behavior quietly reveals what her words are carefully holding back. And if you don't understand how to read those signals, you'll completely miss what's right in front of you. Here's the truth most people never explain. When a woman genuinely likes you, she rarely makes it obvious. She doesn't suddenly become louder or overly expressive. Instead, she becomes different. Not dramatic, not desperate, just subtly different. Because for her, attraction isn't about what she says out loud. It's about what she does when she believes you're not really paying attention. Most men have been conditioned to look for the wrong signs. Big gestures, clear validation, obvious approval. But real interest doesn't show up like that. Real interest is quiet. It's controlled. Sometimes it's almost invisible unless you know exactly what to observe. A woman who feels nothing for you is actually very easy to read. She stays consistent in her distance. Her energy doesn't change. There's no emotional movement, no hidden effort, no subtle pull in your direction. She's either polite or completely indifferent, and that's all there is. But the moment she starts liking you, things begin to shift in ways that don't immediately make sense. She might create distance, then come closer again. She might appear calm, but her focus gives her away. She could even act like you don't matter, while subconsciously adjusting her behavior around you. And this is exactly where most men get it wrong. They expect attraction to look like clear approval. So when it doesn't, they assume there's nothing there. They walk away at the exact moment something real was just beginning. The reality is, when a woman truly likes you, she doesn't always move directly toward you. She explores the space between you. She watches, she observes, she thinks. She's not just chasing excitement, she's looking for something deeper. She wants to feel certainty without losing control of her emotions. So instead of obvious signs, she shows patterns, small shifts, subtle investments, tiny changes in her normal behavior that only happen when you're around. If you're not paying attention, you'll never notice them because they don't shout, they whisper. She'll remember things you said that didn't seem important at the time. She'll slightly change the way she speaks to you compared to others. Her energy becomes a bit warmer, a bit softer, like she's lowering her guard just enough. And the interesting part is, she may not even realize she's doing it. Attraction isn't always a conscious decision. It leaks through behavior before it ever becomes words. Women can control what they say very well, but repeated actions are harder to manage. That's where the truth shows itself. That's your opportunity to see what's really happening. But you have to be aware enough to notice it and patient enough not to ruin it. Because if you rush things, if you push for answers too early, if you try to force her to admit something she's still figuring out herself, she'll shut it down immediately. Not because she doesn't feel anything, but because you made it feel unsafe. So instead of chasing confirmation, you start observing behavior. Instead of asking, "Does she like me?" you start asking, "How does she act differently around me?" That's where everything changes. Once you understand this, you stop guessing. You start seeing what was always there. The first thing that changes when a woman likes you isn't her words, it's her attention. Attention is the most honest thing she can give. Words can be faked. Expressions can be controlled. But consistent, focused attention over time is very difficult to fake. When she doesn't care, her focus is scattered. She listens just enough to respond, not enough to truly understand. Her eyes wander, her mind is somewhere else. You can feel that disconnect, like you're talking at her instead of connecting with her. But when she's interested, something shifts. Her attention becomes intentional. And it's not just eye contact, it's presence. It feels like, when you're speaking, everything else fades just a little. She notices details that most people ignore. The way you express yourself, the pauses you take, even the things you don't fully say. She becomes curious about you, but not in an obvious way. Her questions feel casual, but they're purposeful. She's trying to understand how you think, what motivates you, who you really are beneath the surface. And here's what most men overlook. She remembers specific details. Not everything, but the things that don't matter to someone who isn't emotionally invested. You might casually mention a goal, and weeks later she brings it up again. You say something small about your preferences, and she quietly adjusts without making a big deal out of it. That's not random. That's attention guided by interest. When a woman likes you, she starts building a mental picture of you, piece by piece, without ever announcing it. And as that attention grows, she begins to align herself with you in subtle ways. Her tone becomes softer. Her responses become more thoughtful. Even her body language changes without her realizing it. She faces you more directly. She holds eye contact just a little longer. There's a natural pull, like she's being drawn into your space without trying. It goes even deeper than that. She creates opportunities to keep that connection alive. Conversations last a bit longer than necessary. She replies quicker than usual. Sometimes she reconnects without a clear reason, just to keep the interaction going. But she won't label it. She won't say, "I like you," because saying it makes it real. And reality comes with risk. So instead, she invests through attention. And if you're aware, you'll feel it. Conversations with her won't feel forced. They'll feel alive, like there's something unspoken underneath them. And this is where many men mess it up. They feel that shift, get excited, and then push too hard. They start seeking confirmation too soon. The moment you do that, you interrupt the natural flow she was creating. Attention builds attraction, but pressure destroys it. So instead of rushing, you stay calm. You match her energy. You observe. You allow her to keep investing without forcing clarity. Because when a woman consistently gives you her attention without being asked, she's already communicating something, just not verbally. Another major shift happens in her patterns. Every woman has a rhythm. How she responds, how available she is, how much effort she puts in. It's usually predictable. But when she starts liking you, that rhythm changes. It bends. If she's not interested, everything stays structured. She replies when it's convenient. She keeps things brief. She doesn't go out of her way. But when she likes you, she starts making exceptions. She replies faster even when she's busy. She finds time to talk even when she says she has none. And sometimes she delays her response, not because she forgot, but because she's thinking about what to say. That extra thought, that hesitation, that's not disinterest. That's investment. Her consistency becomes inconsistent in a very specific way. She might seem warm one day and slightly distant the next, not because she's playing games, but because she's balancing her feelings with control. She wants to get closer, but she doesn't want to lose herself in the process. So she creates space, not to leave, but to steady herself. And if you don't understand this, you'll misread it completely. You'll think she's losing interest when she's actually managing it. She also begins to prioritize you in quiet ways. She adjusts her schedule slightly to include you. She responds to you first. She gives you moments of her time that she usually protects, and she acts like it's nothing. But it's not nothing. It's intentional. When a woman likes you, she hides her effort inside normal behavior. That's why it's so easy to miss. Your role here is to stay steady. Don't react emotionally to her shifts. Don't chase harder when she pulls back. Just remain grounded. When she sees that her fluctuations don't shake you, she relaxes. She feels safe. And when she feels safe, she leans in more naturally. Because now you've shown her something without saying a word. You're not controlled by her behavior. And that stability allows her to align with you more deeply. Another powerful signal is mirroring. Not the obvious kind you see in movies, but the subtle, unconscious kind. When a woman likes you, she begins to reflect you in small ways. It's not imitation, it's connection. It's her way of syncing with you without realizing it. She might match your tone, your pace, your gestures. If you lean back, she does too. If you speak calmly, she softens her voice. These are not coincidences. They're signs that she's emotionally tuning into you. And this kind of alignment creates comfort. It lowers her guard and brings her closer without effort. It's not just physical either, it's emotional. She matches your mood. She responds to your energy. It feels natural, almost effortless. And that's why it's so powerful. Because it happens before she even fully understands her own feelings. And then there's what she chooses to share. This is where things become very real. When a woman starts letting you see parts of her world that she usually keeps private, it means something. She doesn't do that with everyone. She shares her thoughts, her frustrations, even her insecurities. She allows you to see sides of her that most people don't. And every time she does that, she's taking a small emotional risk. She's testing if you can handle her depth, if you can respond with understanding. The more she shares, the more she trusts you. And trust is what turns attraction into something deeper. It's not just about words, it's about access. When she gives you access to her world, that's real. And finally, the clearest sign of all, she prioritizes you without being asked. Not in loud or obvious ways, but in consistent, subtle actions. She makes time. She follows up. She checks in. She includes you in her life naturally. These aren't forced actions. They're driven by how she feels. And she won't announce it. She'll let her behavior speak. Because words carry risk, but actions reveal truth. Most men either ignore these signs or rush to confirm them. And that's where they lose. Attraction grows in patience, in awareness, in understanding. So instead of forcing clarity, recognize the signals. Respect them. Match her energy. Let things unfold naturally. Because when a woman gives you attention, adjusts her patterns, mirrors you, opens up, and prioritizes you without being asked, you're not guessing anymore. You're seeing exactly what she hasn't said yet.